Hey guys, welcome to another Conversations in Ken's Cafe, bringing people together. And we've got three wonderful people with us today. This is the core group for Camp Compost, and they're here to tell us a little bit more, not just about Camp Compost, but I'd like to get into what it takes to put something like this together as well. But Organic Alexa, Chandler, Michael, I think you'd prefer Mike, I think. But welcome and
Either's fine.
Introduce yourselves, guys. Sorry, Mike. Okay, Mike, introduce
I'm
yourself.
having some trouble with my audio again. For some reason, I don't know. I was hearing you guys fine, and now it's very faint. So I apologize.
Oh, no worries. Okay, Ken. If you can hear me, introduce yourself, Mike. Who are you with Camp Compost? Oh, he jumped off. Alexa, let's start with you.
Hi, Ken. It's such an honor to be here. My name is Alexa. I am one of the co-founders of Camp Compost with these other lovely individuals here. And I am also a part of Hypha, a living soil cannabis facility. And yeah, it's just an honor to be here. We really appreciate the work you're doing with this platform to share knowledge and information with the community and showcase so many different talented individuals. And that's what we're hoping to do at Camp Compost this year. And we look forward to discussing all the details with you today.
Oh, and that's fantastic. We're going to get into some details. Chandler, how about you? How did you get involved with Camp Compost? Like, where was the connection?
Oh man, we met each other at another event, the Gathering of the Heads, and within 15 minutes of meeting Alexa and Mike, two total strangers until that point, we had the idea of having a compost cup. Actually, is how it started, and we planned it over like the next month and a half, like 2 months. We didn't have much time at all. But yeah, we met each other and we're like, yeah, we're talking about having like the event based around compost and soil health. And we were all on board for the idea. And Mike had the property, the perfect space for it. And yeah, the rest is history.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's the community coming together that has created this. Now, Mike, have you got your audio fixed, my friend, or do you need to jump off and back on?
I think it would be helpful for me to jump off and back on. I can hear you guys very, very faintly. I'll quickly introduce myself, and then I'll try that real quick. But I'm Michael Freund. My wife and I, we own the property that Camp Compost is on. And yeah, like Chandler said, we all met at another event and, just kind of put all our heads together. They kind of had this idea and approached me, and I felt like I had a pretty good space, and they came out and checked it out, and they really, really loved the space too. And it just kind of kept evolving from there. So, yeah.
Well, you've got to have an amazing wife, Mike. So jump off, back on. Hopefully we get your audio issue fixed with that, and we'll carry on here.
All right, 1 second.
See you soon. Just shows the importance of having events like this and networking. If it wasn't for a similar event, we wouldn't have met each other, and this idea wouldn't have come to fruition. Yeah. So
it's all about caring, sharing, and community. And events like this is what brings the community together. I just spent the weekend at the Unicorn Music Festival, and yeah, it was fantastic. Everybody was partying till like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
I wasn't, of course. But we had a lot of fantastic speakers, and that's one of the things you guys have really brought together is amazing speakers. And you guys are both speakers in your own rights. I see you guys on YouTube and that on Instagram where you've been to other events, and it's getting you guys out there to meet these other people so you could bring them into your event. How many times have you found somebody that you've brought into your event so far? Or do you think?
Oh, so many.
Yeah, there's so many. And like, we already have people like that we're still meeting that we wish we could squeeze in this year, but we're like, oh, we're going to have to do it next year. So we already have lineups started for next year too, because there's just so many like really incredible and talented people in our community. We're so blessed.
Oh, and that's fantastic. Chandler, would you like to add?
Yeah, just potential presenters, but just as well as people just getting a general admission ticket. We've met so many people at all these different events and just, out in the street in real life, and uh, events that are totally unrelated to cannabis or gardening or anything, and like you just start talking to somebody and this, oh yeah, by the way, you seem like you're into this stuff. I happen to have like a 3-day festival that we have about this stuff, and so
Yeah.
you can tell when people are into it and when to give them, you know, the invite, because some people they'd be turned away from the idea, and so, but we're trying to make it as opening to everybody as possible, as inviting, so people can come learn and apply something to their lives.
Well, and when you start talking about bokashi and compost and worm castings, people either their eyes are going to glaze over or they're
Yep,
going to go, yeah.
exactly.
Mike, are you back with us, my friend?
Yeah, so the audio is much louder. Getting a little bit of choppiness. I'm not sure if I have a bad reception, but let's carry on. And if I become a distraction, I'll bow out or something. But
Well, if you have to bow out, we'll figure out when you can come on and have a better reception. If you can get closer to whatever your Wi-Fi connection, or are you on just a cell tower?
yeah, I'm on the cell tower right now.
Okay.
So apologize about that. I'm on the road. So anyway.
No worries. At least you're here. And if you can stay on, great. And if you have to bounce, then that's all right. You can bounce, man. I just appreciate that you came in the first place.
Yeah, and real quickly, I'll showcase. I pulled over near Lake Michigan. This is just 20 minutes. I'm not sure if you can pick up my camera, but
yeah, we can see it.
Just 20 minutes from Camp Compost. So if anyone's interested in extending their trip or doing anything else fun while they're coming to Camp Compost, there's some beautiful waters nearby. So I thought I'd quickly showcase that at least.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I had Dave Dormer on last night. He's an ex-journalist, and he was going over the history of cannabis. And Michigan, it was where cannabis really got going in that area. So Lower Ontario, and that is where the scene was before California or anything ever started. It was you guys. So just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit. I'm pretty old or pretty young. That's all outdates me, obviously. But I've heard the song John Sinclair by the Beatles, and I know that's a pretty infamous moment in cannabis history, and that was a Michigan man. So yeah, it's interesting.
Well, the first arrests in Canada were people coming across the border from Michigan into Canada with weed. Those were the first arrests that we had in Canada. We were talking about that. As I said, he went over the cannabis history last night. So you guys are supposed to have the fire down there. And from what I've heard, and from a lot of different people, you guys really do, and have some really amazing strains down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Pin-conning parrot, or the Penny Paralyzer, pin-conning paralyzer. That was like 30 minutes from my hometown. I always heard legends of that.
Sweet. Yeah. So it kind of went a little sideways there, but you're growing those kind of cultivars in your area, and you're using the methodology that you guys are highlighting at Camp Compost. And that's the connection I really wanted to make. And you guys in that area, a lot of it has been organic right from the start. How many farmers do you think in your area are more organic based than farmers that aren't organic based?
Yeah, I think this part of northern Michigan that we live in, from my experience, seems to have like the most access to organic food of anywhere else that I've lived. So, really grateful for that. I feel like there's a lot of open-minded individuals in the area who are, really focused on, changing the paradigm of agriculture that we're in right now, and creating one that's more harmonious and in sync with nature. So we're really lucky to have such an amazing regenerative community here in Northern Michigan. And, we're also really lucky to be able to showcase all these incredible individuals at Camp Compost as well.
Well, and you're bringing them in and they're sharing their knowledge. And that's one of the wonderful things about what you guys have created. Chandler, when you look at the farming around you, how many people do you think Camp Compost or events like this have affected those types of farms?
Yeah, so unfortunately, the big guys are still doing their thing, and we'd love for more of them to come. But there's organic farms all around us that want to be more regenerative. They see that the organic certification really doesn't mean all that much, and so like you can be certified organic and still have a very death-based approach to everything and still be spraying, organic pesticides and organic herbicides all the time and killing everything around you, and still be organic. And a lot of farms don't want to be like that, and they want to actually regenerate the soil and build soil and increase their biodiversity to keep everything in balance. And so there's multiple people that come out to Camp Compost that work for farms or conventional or organic, and they implement change back at their operation. And I'm fortunate enough to work at an organic farm here in Grand Rapids called Green Wagon, and there's a bunch of the farm hands that come out and the manager that comes out, and they learn at Camp Compost. And
now that I love to hear.
Absolutely. So it's making real change in the farms, and a lot of them are starting to make their own compost or, make their IMOs or just start to think about the life in the soil more than just, growing organic veggies.
Well, because organic's kind of been pirated. That's where I like the Dem Pure, because it's a totally different type of certification. It's free, but you have to meet a lot of qualifications to know that what you have is the biology in the soil and you're growing, with life, because that's the most important thing.
It's all about the biology.
I know you're wearing a wonderful t-shirt there. I should have put mine on, but I didn't. Sorry. You guys were actually, what's on the back? What did I call you guys?
Defenders of the biology. That's right.
Precisely. And you guys are, and it's the people that are your age learning this that in some ways really amazes me and gives me a lot of hope, because you guys are young enough to really get out there and teach people. Are you back with us, Mike, or?
Yeah, I think I'm an upgrade. I decided to drive down the road and seem to have so, I apologize for that. I can hear you guys clearly, and no one's slowing down in time. So
yeah. Well, and the thing is, it's how close can you get to your Wi-Fi? Well, in somebody's house. Well, you're going by to your connection, but you've got to find a new tower.
Yeah, I'm not skilled at that either. I don't know where to go, but I guess I found the right spot.
Oh, fantastic! Well, and what touched your heart, Mike, to open up your property to these crazy kids that want to teach this stuff and return people back to nature? What was your driving force?
Oh wow, that's a big question. It's something I'm passionate about: regenerative agriculture, nature in general. I grew up on a river in the middle of Michigan, and those were like some of the best times of my life. Just kind of feed in the river, just exploring nature. And so the combination of using nature to grow plants and my love for farming and those things kind of were, I guess, right stage. And when I met Chandler and Alexa, and I was really excited about what they were doing. And, I just want to help people. And that's kind of my motivation with it all. And I'm sure there's more to it that I'm not really mentioning, but those are a lot of the first things that come to my head about it. But I just want to spread the message and of the microbes and help people and connect with people. And
I'm sure your wife had a hand in it too. And if she was there, she'd be going, honey, you should say this and this and this. Oh, I'm not sure if you quite heard me. I was saying your wife, if she was there, would be reminding you of what you're missing. Okay, Mike, I don't think you hear me.
Nah, you broke up again. Guess I didn't find the best spot. But I heard you mention my wife, and yeah, Sarah is she's a wonderful person, and she also, I think, shares the passion of wanting to help people and connect with people. And so, I didn't have to do too much convincing to throw the event, but a little bit. But yeah, she's excited for it, just like me. And but she's I really appreciate her being on the same page with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
she's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, face it, guys, if she wasn't on board, you wouldn't be there right now.
Absolutely.
So Chandler, Silly Lily actually has a question for you. Are you ever approached about the message on the t-shirt?
I haven't been so far, no.
Oh, man, and I thought it was a good saying.
I tell them what's up. I think everybody gets it, No questions to be asked. It's right to it.
Oh, then that would be fantastic, because the more people that understand that concept, I think the better off our entire planet is going to be. But as defenders of the biology, you guys are always talking about this constantly to pretty much everybody that you meet. Alexa, what's the most memorable experience you've had, just a person walking up to you and starting a conversation? Who do you think that would be?
Oh, so what was the question? Just like
Okay, you're at an event, somebody walks up to you and you start a conversation, and this person has become an amazing part of your life. Who do you think that person would be? And what have you guys exchanged for information?
Chandler and Mike, meeting them. Like, really, when we met, it was really crazy, because I met Chandler and he was like, hey, if you ever want to do an event like this, let me know. And then 5 minutes later, I was talking to Mike and he was like, hey, if you ever want to do an event like this, I have a property. And it was crazy. So we, it was just so serendipitous that it was meant to be. So, and these events are incredible for networking and connecting people like that. So that's why we want to have this event, so more people can make connections like that with the community and, enjoy the, consequences of meeting each other and networking and being part of a community. So, yeah.
I don't know, the term you said, of consequences. I don't know if that's really the right term. Would it be more?
Effect,
Yeah.
Sorry. Not really.
Oh, yeah. That's one of those things that snaps into my brain every once in a while, right? Consequences.
Sure.
I'm not doing anything illegal, officer. I have no consequences.
Right.
So let's get a little bit more into what you guys are actually doing. I'm going to share my screen because I actually have some of the stuff here. Okay, so we got Bokashi mud balls, permaculture design, sampling. Talk to us a little bit more about what you guys are doing. Maybe I'll go down to the Friday, September 8th. Mushroom Walk with Anthony. Let's go through some of this stuff. What are people going to learn if they were showing up at Camp Compost?
Yeah, so we wanted to have a little bit of something for everybody. We got a lot of mycology stuff, a lot of foraging stuff, both mushrooms and medicinal herbs and plants. Some survival skills demos in there. A lot of it's really outdoorsy type stuff. And then obviously all sorts of different composting and building your own inputs for gardening, and kind of like to tie the bridge between fermentation for the garden, fermentation for our food, and linking that gap between the microbiome of the soil and of our gut, and everything has a microbiome, and get people thinking on that level. But yeah, there's so many diverse demonstrations going on and
Well,
workshops, on workshops.
I see you got biodynamic Ben. So you're covering all the bases really when you're looking at things like biodynamics, because the energy and the frequency, the vibration around us plays such a dynamic role in bringing everything together. Our biology, the soil biology, the biology in the animals and the plants. We're all interconnected. And I love that you have people that are going to be talking about stuff like that. Do you guys talk about biodynamics much? I know you're into the worms, Bakashi. Alexa, you're into looking through the microscope. Are you guys talking a lot about the energy when you're talking to people?
Yeah, it's something that we're incorporating more and more. Alexa, go ahead.
Oh yeah. That's a really big theme this year, is connecting science and spirituality. Science is the physical, spirituality is the non-physical, but by focusing on the non-physical, we can improve our physical health in, for instance, practices like meditation and positive thinking. Those are, examples of how spiritual or energetic practices can influence our physical health. So, something I've written about recently is how the function of the microorganisms, we can unite the physical and the non-physical. There are many examples of how microorganisms can use different energy sources like vibrations and light spectrums as energy and live off those. So these can be from lights, sound, music, crystals, and even our thoughts can affect biology. So these spiritual practices can have an impact on our biology. So by focusing on spiritual practices, we can have personal growth and transformation and improve our physical health and biology. So that's why, this year we have a bunch of activities that focus on our energetic health, like ecstatic awakening dance and kirtan, which is mantra, breath work, and yoga as well.
Well, and I think that's absolutely wonderful, because if we can't sit for a moment and breathe and reconnect, we're going to miss it. I actually had someone reach out. They have a vibration machine with sound that they're using for growing cannabis. And it looks like the results are pretty interesting. So I'm going to see if I can get them on a show.
Yeah, that's awesome.
To look more.
Have you heard much about... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Well, like Alexa just said, the vibration is actually growing the plants. It's making them stronger. And it was just like, this gentleman reached out to me like yesterday, and here you're talking about that today. I think there's another, synchronicity happening there. But Chandler, you were going to say something, my friend.
Have you heard much about the electroculture?
I've heard about some people growing with a certain, just using electricity. And then, of course, people taking wires, grounding their beds like you would ground your house with an oofer ground and running cable in, or organite, pyramids. I love energy.
Absolutely. And maybe that's another shirt. It's all about the energy.
Energy, frequency, and vibration. Tesla had a good handle on this stuff, man.
And I'm paraphrasing John Kemp here, but he said something like, it's not the biology that grows the plants, it's not the minerals that grows the plants, it's the energy, it's all of those things. And like, you can't have it without the energy. And all of these plants are solar panels, and all the humic acid from these microbes are, they're small enough to fill the pore space in between all these soil particles, and it creates that energy flow. And like, you need every single part of it for it to be a healthy system.
Well, it's kind of fast. Like I say, it's all about the biology, and it's all about everything that creates the life of that biology. Without the energy of our sun or some form of energy, nothing's going to grow. We'd never have the biology to play with in the first place. But yeah, at the base level, without some form of energy, nothing exists.
Mm-hmm.
So Alexa, that beautiful smile that I just love when you get that big grin. And I keep trying to make you grin because, you know, I just, it fills my heart with joy.
Oh,
You're welcome. What makes you happy? What is one of those special times where you connect with nature and everything around you? Where do you go for that?
I guess I like to connect with nature when I'm looking through the microscope. It's just a huge like hobby of mine. I just like to look at different ecosystems. I mess around a lot with like compost teas, and I've done a lot of experimenting with like growing certain organisms. So that I'm teaching a compost tea and microscopy demo this year. So I'm really excited. Yeah. So I'm really excited to share, everything that I've learned over the past few years of looking at compost teas. And, there's not really, just like with compost, there's not really one right way to make a compost tea. There's so many different variations, and they're all good for different situations. So, we'll be looking at aerated compost teas and how to build like a really easy compost tea brewer that I use at the Hypha Garden. And then there's some situations where no pump is required for making compost teas. So some of my best, like most active compost teas have been without a brewer. So, we'll talk about those, and I'm going to do a microscopy demonstration and show like the differences within different compost tea brews, and share all my recipes and share different uses and application methods. And I really encourage anyone who's coming to bring samples to look at after the demonstration. That was just so much fun last year to just view everyone's samples. It's really cool for me to see how the microorganisms manifest in different environments.
And it's wonderful that you can give the people that don't have a microscope the opportunity to actually look at all the life that should be there. And that's the problem. It's not there in a lot of cases. Even a lot of people that think they are making this wonderful compost or a compost tea, when they look at it under the microscope and they're going, there's all bad guys, or this isn't what I want. They don't even realize it until they have the opportunity, and you're giving them not just the opportunity to look, but you're also explaining what you want to see. And I think that is absolutely amazing, and I want to honor you for that, because not everybody's willing to give that knowledge away for free, and you guys are, and that's great.
Yeah, that workshop alone is worth the price of admission, I think. It's going to be gold.
Well, and I want to talk to you because you're the one that's doing with the Bokashi mud balls. Now, are you guys throwing them at each other? Is this like a water fight?
Mud ball fight. That'd be sweet.
I mean, actually, we found a natural spring on the property. So this weekend we were doing some prep for the land, and we pretty much just made a giant mud pit. So come play in our mud pit.
Well, a mud bath. I mean, how many places around the world can you actually go get a mud bath? You know?
Exactly.
Right. We got it, and then you could wash off in the fresh spring.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Are you like, I know Bokashi can do some absolutely amazing things, especially in our waterways. I know people that were making the balls, throwing them in a waterway, and all the silt disappeared, and a developer was a little upset because they found a rare fish or clam or something. He wasn't able to do his development because there's all these people throwing bokashi balls in the river because the guy was teaching it to a bunch of students, and they went down for Earth Day and they threw all these bokashi balls in the river and added all that biology, and all of a sudden the silt all broke down. And nature has a wonderful way of working when you add the biology back in. And you're teaching bokashi. Have you thought about doing that, or have you heard about that happening, Chandler?
Yeah. So that's the idea, is taking it to the river, taking it to the lake, taking it to a waterway that you love and you have a connection with, starting there, but eventually hitting them all, but it's crazy out here in Grand Rapids. Just out east of us where the farm is Cascade Township, and there's farms everywhere, and you can almost walk across the river because of these algae blooms, and there's nowhere to swim anymore. People that have lived here their whole lives used to swim in these lakes and just can't anymore because of excess nitrogen and phosphorus runoff, and everybody's fertilizing their lawns. All these farmers are fertilizing their fields with, forms of nitrogen and phosphorus that, aren't immediately taken up by the plants. And we have excess amounts of them run off into our streams and eventually into our ponds and lakes and all the way down, to the Gulf of Mexico. And we're seeing the problems everywhere. And this is something that we can do, something that's practical, that can really make a difference, and you can see it, maybe not just one application, but if you stick with it, and it depends on the size of the pond and everything, but it absolutely does clean up that sludge. And these are fermentation microbes that are in that bokashi, that are in the EM. And so they don't need the oxygen, and so they can go down there and break down all of that stuff, turn it into fulvic and humic acids and stuff that's going to be good for all of those aquatic microorganisms, and then the macroorganisms follow. And there's so much to the EM and how some of those microbes consume some of the gases from the others, and it's incredible.
Well, one biology is food for the other biology, and if you don't have the first one, the second one can't even exist because it has no food source. Or if you lose the one that's the food source, the predator dies too, and then who was eating him and who was eating him? It's that relationship all the way through, and interacting. Like I love the EM that's used. I call it kind of the transitional biology, because a lot of it can exist in both, an oxygenated system and an unoxygenated system, and move nutrients back and forth.
Or it could just feed off of heat or sunlight. It's like those microbes are so incredibly advanced, and Cuauhtémoc Villa talks about this, but they're the elder microbes. They've been here for such a long time because they can feed off of all these different things. They can exist inside of a volcano, just feeding off of that heat energy, or they could feed off of the sunlight, or they could feed off of eating carbon from the soil, or eating toxins that no other microbes can eat. And it's just so versatile. And last year we taught the DIY EM brew, something
that
similar.
would be worth the price of admission.
And so that's with kombucha and worm castings, and it's so rewarding to be brewing kombucha for yourself, or brewing kefir, or any of these ferments, and feeding your plants the same thing that you're eating, and then eating your plants, or smoking your plants.
Go ahead.
Just being that connected and knowing everything that went into it is incredible.
Well, that's why when I grew, I don't generally smoke other people's stuff, because I know what went into mine. I don't know what went into yours. Now, there's some people that I will trust, but most people, when you talk to them about a living soil, or if they're soil growing, they're still using chemicals to grow in a soil. So you got to be very specific when you talk to people. So, Alexa, how are you finding, when you look under the microscope at the bokashi and that, how are you looking at it? What are you seeing there?
Oh, in the EM. So it's mostly just yeast bacteria and lactobacillus. But as Chandler said, those are like the ancient microbes. And when we're looking to rebuild ecosystems, those are the microorganisms that we need to turn to. Because if you just like look back in history and time, what the reason why we are here as humans is because those ancient microbes existed first. So when we, in our human ways, destroy an ecosystem and turn it into a desert, what we need to do is add life back into it. And the microorganisms that are going to survive there are the ones that, can handle those extreme conditions and can feed off of so many different resources. So this is really, compost and bokashi and these microorganisms, they're medicine for the earth. And just as the earth provides us with medicine, we can do the same for the earth. So, yeah.
Well, that's where I don't like the term weeds. I would rather call them earlier transitional plants.
Yeah.
And it's those plants that feed that biology and bring us forward in time.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And Alexa just talked on it. What we're teaching is how to create medicine for Mother Earth and to thank Mother Earth for everything that she's provided. How many of us just eat all of our food and never really consider where it comes from, or consider the energy exchange, and we just toss away our food scraps so easily. That plant needed to go through this crazy dance with taking the sunlight and the atmosphere and creating its own sugars and feeding these microbes and trading that blend of carbohydrates that the plant created with these microbes for the earth minerals that those microbes have mined. And it's like this crazy elaborate process, and most of us don't consider that at all, and we just toss it into the trash can, send it to the landfill to never be useful again. And so when you can make that conscious decision that, man, these food scraps are really valuable, this is energy, this came from somewhere, and this still has a lot of potential, and we could just put it into the compost and create humus again, return those fully grown proteins back down to their amino acids, back down to their building blocks. And now we can give those building blocks to whatever plants we want and give them literally everything that they need. You put it through the biome of the worm, and now you have plant growth hormones and microbiology and nutrients and everything that the plant needs. And there's so many different ways of doing it. It's incredible, and it's how things should be. It's nothing crazy. It's just honoring the cycles of nature, honoring the law of return. Just returning everything that we don't need, everything that we didn't finish.
Well, and that's what Mother Nature does, and that's where if you're having a bug infestation, it's because your plant isn't healthy, and Mother Nature is saying we have to break this back down to its molecules to feed it to the next generation. Now, I'm a little bit on the extreme because I don't believe that the plant has as much to do with it as the biology that's inside creating the cells and telling this cell it's going to capture the sunlight, and this cell it's going to make this compound. So I think it's more about the biology, because it's the biology. If you don't have that, it can't even have cells built without it. So I think we give the plant too much credit, other than it's a house. It's what keeps the biology safe and secure inside of itself. But that's just I'm on the outer edge, the fringe of what people think. But
no, it's a great perspective, but that's what gets really weird is you can't really look at a plant and these microbes as being separate anymore. They're one and the same, and the lichen is a perfect example of that. Mushroom, or the fungi and the algae that team up together, and it became one and the same. And that's the same thing, for us with our microbiome. And you look at a tree outside, and it could have 100 different strains of fungi running through it. And who's really calling the shots? And it's everything's working together. And to think of them as separate things and put them into their own categories is totally something that humans do. We like to categorize everything, but it's you blur some lines when you get at this, and when you look at it a little bit closer, it's pretty interesting.
Well, considering that a cell can't divide, and everything we have on this planet is multi-celled, without biology, they're the workforce. Nothing exists without the energy that the biology uses to build the cell. Without that, no construction workers to build your house. You're living outside, man. You're not safe. But I'm kind of the renegade on that in a lot of instances. But you guys are showing it. You guys are actually proving it. Having the camp and showing what you guys are doing, and people can see the results when they're adding the biology back into the system of the effects. And eventually, everybody's going to start going a little bit deeper, like you have, Chandler, and realize, yeah, it's so close you can't really separate the two. But genetic code, who's reading that? Who's building your skin cell? Who's replicating it? Who's reading your DNA? It's the biology that's in there we can't see that's reading it and going, oh, I have to build this cell in this way. And if I give the right minerals, I give the right building blocks at the molecular level, I'm going to have a healthy cell. It's the same in our plants. Alexa, would you agree with that, young lady?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really essential to be aware that microorganisms are the very fabric of our existence. They exist in air, soil, water, rocks. They're intertwined between every cell in our body. I like to say a lot that we may see ourselves as a single human being, but we are really a symbiotic fusion of all these different organisms working together. And, science backs that up because it's, proven that microorganisms have so many different roles in regulating our physiological functions, immune health, digestive health. There's just a collective fear of microorganisms, and it's, led to a skewed view of our bodies and our nature. So, Camp Compost is really a celebration of microorganisms, because compost wouldn't be compost without microorganisms. And something we say is that the best way to regenerate your health is to regenerate the soil. Best way to regenerate the soil is to make compost. As we know, soil health determines the plant health, that determines human health. And humans are just so intricately connected to nature, and we are really only as healthy as our environment. So, we always say that disconnection is the disease, and that's a disconnection between ourselves and nature, and our microbiome is a part of that. So we try and, especially my work with microscopy, as you mentioned before, is bring people closer to the microbiome and to end this collective fear of microorganisms that are really hindering our growth as humans, and starting to find ways that we can work with microorganisms to promote health and well-being in our lives and for the planet.
Well, exactly. It's finding out in your own mind that interconnection exists, and it changes your entire outlook on life, because it's like, oh my God, what have I been doing all this time? But we have Peter Cactus wants to what are the date of what is the date of Camp Compost?
September 8th, 9th, and 10th.
And then
weekend.
He says, I would love to space truck up there. And Fruit and Gas says 75 all the way up. Oh, yeah. Beautiful drive.
Oh, yeah. UP all the way to Key West, I-75.
Oh, and that's wonderful. I know that these people are going to be showing up, and even if they don't do it this year, in the years to come.
Sure.
How many years have you guys been doing Camp Compost so far?
This is our third.
Now, we did have a question earlier from Ecological Project. I know that they've got their Mushroom Fest that they're doing in New Mexico, I think it is.
Nice. We've been seeing what they're doing. They're up to some cool stuff for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So he had a question on what has been the most effective way of spreading the word about the event. You all are badasses for putting this on, by the way.
So yeah, we're starting to expand on that horizon. Pretty much so far it's just been Instagram, which really isn't the best for like gaining new traction unless you're posting all the time and doing all the things that you want them to do, you know, dancing and reels or whatever. But
no scripting, Chandler. Okay,
right.
we dropped the limit at
For
that.
the algorithm, bro. I had to do it.
Okay, I can see you dousing yourself with compost, though. You know,
yeah,
that'd be cool.
For sure. But yeah, we're just made a Facebook page the other day, and I don't know. Cool. I'm not super thrilled about all the social media, but it is absolutely something that's important. And so I've been basically just doing Instagram and the website so far, and luckily we have somebody else on our team that's mainly taking care of the website. But yeah, we're going to be on Facebook and increasing our YouTube videos and everything with all the content that's coming out, and sticking up with the social media game, trying to do that. But we just did a paid advertisement, which has gotten us a lot of website views. So cool. Through Instagram you can do that. It's been pretty helpful, honestly.
Well, marketing is one of the biggest things, and I know in a lot of the cannabis industry, it's one of the last things that gets thought about. But in reality, it should actually be one of the first things you think about. And I agree with you 199%, Chandler. Social media sucks. Just flat out.
It takes a lot of energy for sure, and you gotta account for that. Sometimes it's a little bit too much. But I mean, it's all good. It's balanced, well, without it.
Finding the right people for that position is what you need. And if you got somebody that's willing to handle your website, that's perfect. It's finding those people that love that. Like, if you love Facebook, come work for us, run our Facebook page.
For sure. No, it's just a busy time of the year, but I'm happy to do it. But also flyers have been pretty helpful, and we just need to hang up, a 1 mile or 1 hour radius all the way around that event, get some local people there that are interested. And yeah, we've been hanging up flyers all over the state.
And that's really good, because that's old school, really, when it comes down to. But Ecological Project One, marketing can be the most frustrating part. Keep it up. The community will grow, and it will spread via word of mouth.
For sure. And we're totally happy with, the people that are there, and it spreads by word of mouth every year. And like you bring in on close friends and everything like that. So it's wonderful. We've met so many cool people. So excited to, keep it going.
Well, and like we were talking about earlier, you got extra people. You can't even find a spot for them that want to come and speak and share their passions. So it's a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I just have, I'll bring up the website again. This is the Saturday schedule. We got IMOs, we got backyard composting, edible and medicinal plant walk, yoga, jadam, backyard regenerative gardening, and animal husbandry. Compost dye. So I think you're dyeing clothes or something. Sourdough demo. Humanure. Okay, intro to humanure. I know that's one of those things that a lot of people are going to be kind of going, what? Okay, like that's bad stuff, man.
Right. A lot of people are totally afraid to try it, and so have somebody that has been doing it successfully teach you, everything about it is going to be huge,
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to close that loop,
Well, and it's knowledge, and people don't understand that, if you can compost it down deep enough that all those molecules are broken apart by the compost, they're not the same molecule anymore. A lot of the stuff doesn't exist that we thought was there, because the biology has ripped it all apart. Are you seeing that? Like, I'm sure, Alexa, you've looked at samples. What are you seeing? Or maybe you haven't. Sorry.
Human manure samples? No,
Yeah.
I've never had the pleasure yet, but someone wants to bring one to Camp Compost. I'm hoping. Be sure to
Well, the guy doing the talk. The
Not
guy
raw
doing the talk
samples.
should be bringing some.
I don't want any raw samples, but
No. No dipping it out of the porta potties and bringing it over to Alexa. Yeah. Well, I was just curious because that's something that a lot of people are afraid of. But then they have composters where you can put meat, the stuff we're not supposed to be composting, in and compost it, and it's just a different type of biology, breaking it down. But I think the main worry that most people have is what we're ingesting, the chemicals that we are eating in our foods, etc., and then creating a compost from that. That's what I think one of the biggest fears that people have.
For sure. So there's so many levels to it, and it's the same with, collecting urine for your garden. Yes, it's a wonderful nitrogen source and, some trace minerals and all sorts of stuff. But if you're on a bunch of pharmaceuticals, that's also in it, and so it's like, maybe not for everybody, or, what you're doing with it matters. Maybe don't put it right into your medicine garden, but it can be, fertilize the flower patch, or fertilize the trees around it, just keep it buried, whatever. But to be able to close that loop, and then if you are not on pharmaceuticals and you're eating mainly clean foods and drinking clean water, and like that is a very highly prized input, or it could be, and so to be able to close that loop, that poop loop. And I know this is funny to talk about for a lot of people, but and to get your microbiome back into your soil, and to like become a part of your ecology, to be outside every day, and to actually be a part of your soil, and then to take that back up again through your food. It's a very interesting concept, where it creates a feedback loop, and some of these microbes exist through the biome of all of us. They exist through our microbiome, go into the soil, get taken up by a bean, get eaten by your goat, passes through the microbiome of the goat, goes back into the soil. And it's like these same microbes are thriving on that land. And if we want to thrive on our land and like truly become part of our local ecology, it's like that's a great way to do it. And not everybody's there yet. And so it's like, take it if you need it, leave it if you dare. It's not for everybody, but some people are going to be stoked about it.
Well, and like Peter Cactus says, William Pell Brown is speaking, and he's speaking on mycology. So, I had him on the show on the Dem Pure editions, and amazing man. Maybe you can ask the question to him, Alexa, as if he's ever looked at something like that under the microscope.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
That'd be interesting.
For sure.
Well, there was the one movie where the guy got stranded on Mars and grew in his own feces, and the plants did wonderful. Maybe that was part of the Mother Nature's plan, was to have us be better even than the worms. I don't know.
That is a really interesting concept. And, like, people worry about all the stuff that we're eating, and, I'm guilty of that, but it can consume you, and it could really, be depressing really, really quick. Because, the world is full of toxins. Everything I eat is poison. And like, that's not where it's at. You got to remember that, just like the worms, we are part of nature, and we are capable of remediating and, helping the earth detoxify itself, and so it's like, and the better that we take care of our microbiome, the more that we can detoxify ourselves. And so it's like the macrocosms and the microcosms, and, it's like, we're all part of this, and we're all, helping each other out when we play the game, and we play along with nature instead of trying to fight it and look at ourselves as being separate from it.
Yeah, because we're not separate.
No,
not at all. And if we weren't here, she could carry on without us. But I think in a lot of ways, what we offer to Mother Nature is the biology that exists in our bodies. Um, we've been dying here for a long time, and we've been returning to this soil system, and we are a part of this energetic flow that exists here. And I think our biology, our gut biome, is very important to this planet carrying on the way she is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Personal thoughts, you know.
No, and that's such a great thought, you know, and Leighton's talked about it in the past, and like before we were embalming or cremating or whatever, and like just bury a body in the ground, and like that microbiome returns to the soil, you know, and like there's something to that. But
Well, and you know, in nature, how does it work in nature? The plant grows and then it's returned to the soil, and then the next generation take it up. We're supposed to be returning to the soil because, face it, we aren't these bodies. We're the energetic being that's attached to this body.
Mhm.
This body is just a bag of biology. And then it's supposed to return to the soil, just like everything else on our planet, plant, animal, etc., is supposed to return back. Um, you know, I rather just you know, throw me out with the trash and let me return back to Mother Nature, and the next generation can, you know, be better because of who I am.
yeah,
That's kind of morbid, so we probably shouldn't be talking about stuff like that.
maybe not in the trash, but yeah,
No, I mean,
under a tree.
Or into the compost. Throw me
Absolutely.
back into the compost.
Yeah, but it's really cool, you know, walking around the woods or walking around anywhere really, in nature. Like you can find, you know, a deer skull or, you know,
Yeah.
some carcass, you know, some remains, and like what an honor to actually return to the soil, you know, is my personal thought on it. You know, I hope that happens for me someday.
Well, the hope, I think, of everybody that has the knowledge that you guys have about how, you know, our planet works, and how to be healthy in ourselves, and how to promote health in our plants and our animals. I think we all want to return to that um, point, because we know how important it is uh, for us to do it for our plants, and that's the ultimate gift back, I think.
Mhm.
So the family tree, I'm going to bring up this comment just for the haha. I haven't read it yet. So the family tree used to be
Mm.
where we deposited the ash of loved ones, and the ancestors became leaves, and we be leaves. I like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Well, we have a lot of like Super Nessa is on, and Sagu, my friend, Peace Pipes up. It's the connection that the native, I don't want to say Americans, or I think we're all really a lot of natives because we're native to this planet, but they had a better connection than what the white man brought from Europe.
Mm.
I think we really can learn a lot from the traditions and the history on how they grew, and bring that into the way we grow, because I think they knew a lot more that we're just learning now.
Absolutely. We're just scraping the surface of it. All this regenerative agriculture stuff is indigenous knowledge, but with the
Yeah.
spirit side of it taken out, you know, and so like when you can reincorporate the spirit back in it and the love for the earth, you know, love for all of life, it changes everything. And we're talking about, you know, how it's medicine, how making compost is medicine for the earth, but it's like medicine for yourself, like the act of just being outside there, you know, and having the sun on your face and breathing in the fresh air and touching these microbes in your pile. It's like there's so many times where, you know, making the compost and like can be medicinal for you, you know, and like it's the quantum biology of it all, you know, it's the invisible stuff, you know, and like it's so important, and it can really change your life. Anybody dealing with anxiety or depression or anything, like start a garden, please. Cultivate a
Yeah.
relationship with a little piece of land, you know, even if it's a pot of soil and a, you know, and your deck outside, you know, cultivate a relationship with that and the herbs that you're growing there. And there's
Yeah.
really a lot to learn. And
Yeah, even in the apartment, if you have good light, that window herb box can really help balance you because you're taking care of that life. But guys, we're getting close to the hour mark here. Or we're just at the hour mark. Um, I don't want to stop talking to you guys because I love who you guys are and your energy. But we all have things that we have to get to. But I want to end off with, what, are you guys doing with the Hugo culture that you built last year, this year, and are you building another one?
yeah, that's a great question. We plugged it with some comfrey last year, and that's all thriving. And he's got some squash going right now, and I forget what else. There's a couple flowers and everything in there. It's pretty minimal. So like you got to remember, he spends half the year in Hawaii, and so
The hard life.
yeah. So that Hugo culture isn't really taken care of for over half of the year, honestly. And so like that's what we're trying to focus on now is filling it full of perennials, and so it's just going to take care of itself, really.
Are you guys going to build another one this year, Alex or Alexa? Oh my God. Smoke another one, Ken. Yeah.
No, it's okay. No, not this year. We have so many different presenters and variety of things to do. So we wanted to just add some more diversity this year. Maybe we'll come back to it in the future for sure.
Well, and that's just I guess the point I wanted to make to everybody is this isn't going to stop. Mike isn't here right now, but if he was, I think that as long as he owns that property, he's going to be willing to put these events on. And I know you guys aren't going to stop doing this as long as you possibly can. This isn't something that, we can ever stop doing this education. And the more people that are willing to not only come to your event, but to create events of your own, and share this knowledge. I think this is how we can change the world, is with events like this. And I just want to honor you two for, the energy and what you guys do to put this together every year and getting out, being voices of reason in some crazy world that most people don't want to hear about this stuff. But you guys consistently get out there and share. And I just appreciate you guys to the nth degree for doing what you guys do.
Thank you so much, Ken.
Likewise, Ken.
Well, thank you guys.
And thank you for this platform. And always happy to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys are more than happy to come back anytime you guys can find time, which I think is one of the biggest things, because it's the one thing we never get back, is the time. And there's just so many things to do, which you guys have a lot of things I think you guys need to get to, because you have an event here in just a few weeks. And I want to wish you guys all the best with that event. If you guys want to stick around afterwards, we'll have a little conversation. But for right now, guys, I'm going to let everybody know what's coming up. We've got Andy Lopez coming up this evening with myself on Gardens the Untold Story. Tomorrow we have Abe. He's coming on with Queen of the Sun Growing and Luna. And then, of course, we're back to Monday. I have no damn pier this weekend because I'm at Camp Canna in central Alberta, and I get to speak on Sunday about biology. So I get 2 weekends in a row of party time. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome, man. Enjoy yourself.
Oh, I'm going to. Okay, guys, put your fingers up, say peace out, and I'm going to end the broadcast.
Just real quick, just want